Welcome to the Performance Sales Consulting channel. I am your host, Jason Danger Thompson, and let's talk some sales today, guys. I'm going to tell you an obvious one. Let's keep it very simple as we always do. Sales is simple. We're not going to complicate anything. This is primarily for you managers out there who are running sales teams and also you owners out there. Hey, look, this might seem, it's going to seem very obvious to a lot of you. It's very simple. It doesn't get any simpler than this. Feed the beast. What's feed the beast mean? Simple. Get as many people as you possibly can, as many prospects in front of your best closers. Who are your beasts? You have to identify who your best salespeople are, throw as many people in front of them as possible. Sounds easy. If this is how you're feeding your family, this is the way you make your money, are you going to leave it up to people that are okay hit your goal for you? Or are you going to put it in the hands of people who are proven to be competent over time? It's not that difficult, guys. Feed the beast. Whoever your beast is, get them in front of as many people as possible. If you had Babe Ruth on your baseball team and he was allowed to come up as many times as he wanted to, you didn't have to wait it through him to go through the whole order, do you think your team would be better? You see what I'm saying? You don't have to put in your eighth batter to hit for it. You can throw in your cleanup hitter every time if you can do it, particularly if you have a smaller gym or a smaller health and wellness business. So you may not be able to do it. If you have a large gym, you may need to put some of your auxiliary guys to close for you. And that's fine if you train them well. That's fine if they close above 50%. But if they don't, then you're wasting, you're going to have opportunity costs. Now, why do we do this? Why do we put our best closers? It's all about numbers, right? Well, sure, it's part of it, but look, your best closers, there is no exception. Your best closers are the ones that bring the best value, the most value to your prospects, to your clients. So not only are they going to help you close now, but they're more than likely going to help you with retention over the future, because that person is dealing with, your prospect is dealing with the people in your gym that are able to build the most value, offer the most service, come up with the most solutions for your people over time. So not only are they going to help them right now, but they're going to help you retain those prospects and make them happy over time. Sales equals service. Those are the people that are servicing your clients the best. Why would you want them to have a subpar closer? So you're not just doing it for your business. It just happens to be that, guess what? The people who are best at providing service also tend to be the ones that close the best. That just makes sense. So if you're having problems reconciling in your mind, if your mindset is, you know what, I want everyone to have a fair shake, you may want to look at it this way. If you're giving your clientele, your prospects, if you're putting them in front of people who close below 50%, you are offering them a subpar experience. They're not going to get the service or the value that somebody that's closing at 50, 60, I mean, not many people close over 60%, 60, 70% are doing. Does that make sense? So if you're not giving that experience, you're giving your prospects, the people that come to you to service them, a subpar experience. Look at it that way. So let's break it down. You got 10 salespeople. How many of those salespeople are going to be killers? Probably 20%. 2 out of those 10 are going to be killers. They're going to close at 50% or above. Okay? That's your cutoff line. Your goal should be 60 or 65, but 50 is acceptable. 50 and above is acceptable. Below that, okay, they're good. You can have somebody close at 40%. That's pretty damn good for a lot of places. But I'm looking for 50. Particularly if you're selling personal training, for example, it's very difficult for your average salesperson to close above 40 if they're personal training salespeople. Now, if you're selling memberships, it's a little bit easier to close above 50%, but nevertheless, you want to sell it above 50. Okay? And if you have 2 people out of 10 that close above that, you're doing pretty well. Okay? Now, so the 8 remainder that you have, the 8 salespeople that you have remaining, I would only give about 4 of them the overflow of what you can't give to the 2 killers. All right, so you have the sharks, you got those 2 killers, they close no matter what. They're cleaners. No matter what happens, no matter what you throw at them, they close at 50% or above, no matter what. That is who you need to feed no matter what, constantly. Because whatever they close at is where you're going to end up, basically. Okay, so it's no different than if you're running a sales team. If you're running a sales team, your head closer is where you're going to finish for the month. If they finish high, you're going to finish high. So you get those people in the hands of someone that knows what they're doing, can bring value, who's competent, and knows what to do and when to do it, and closes at above 50%. The rest of them, the next four, so that brings your number up to six now, six total salespeople. Okay, they'll take care of the overflow for you. Now you better be training those people so that they're ready. And as they're improving, then maybe they move up into the killer category at some point. Maybe that's good competition for you. But you don't want to put them in that position very often. Now the remainder might be, the 20%, they close at 20, 30%. They're okay. Not very good, right? And so anything less than that, the additional four, you really, unless it's an emergency scenario, you're short staffed, there's just no other way you could get them, then you don't have them take anyone. You train them, but you don't have them take anyone. You can have them shadow, but don't have them take anyone because they're not going to close it. It's an opportunity cost, guys. Why are you going to give them your prospects, your valued prospects and clientele that you may never get another shot at? And then that goes out into the public and says, hey, I didn't have a very good experience there. When you have these people over here that know exactly what to do, why would you take that chance? It's so simple, guys. It's so easy. So it's that easy. It's very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Now, how do we get these people, these prospects, in the hands of our best salespeople? Okay, well, if it's a membership sale we're talking about, they haven't joined the gym yet, then again, it's very basic. Your best leads, your telephone inquiries, your internet leads, go to your best people. Simple. They get first dibs at it. You don't have to worry about it. It's one of those things where you give it to your best people, you walk away. You're confident they train well. The stats show it. Numbers don't lie. Stats show that they close well, which means they're giving value to your people. That's what you need to know about. Your best value people are your best closers. Now, if you have people that are workers, who are really hardworking, they're not real good yet, they're not real polished yet, that's okay. You don't want to discourage them. You want to give them leads, but usually leads that have already, you try to get them in, you couldn't get them in yet. Guest of members, right? Buddy referrals, any referrals they get from buddy referrals, anything they've closed, they get those. And occasionally reward them for the hard work. Give them a walk-in once in a while. Give them a TI once in a while when you feel like they're ready for it, and try it out. Occasionally, when it's not going to hurt you. Maybe it's later in the month, you've already hit your number, whatever. But you don't want to discourage those people who are working hard for you. You want to reward them for putting in the work, putting in the training. And then when they show you that they're competent, if they can close X, Y, and Z, in other words, they close a guest member, then they might be ready for a TI or an internet lead. Does that make sense? Now, in terms of personal training, this works a little differently. Sometimes you have to rely on the membership salespeople to sell the membership and then get them with the appropriate trainer or the appropriate salesperson. Okay, every health and fitness business does this a little differently. Personally, I advocate for, whenever possible, having the salesperson, the initial salesperson that are selling the membership, introduce that person to the next person in the fitness continuum, whether that be the trainer or the next salesperson, and allow that person to schedule it for them. That way you know that it's set up, okay? Now, one of the problems, or I should say, one of the challenges that we often run into is that you can't seem to get the best salespeople after the original sale takes place at the point of sale with the best either trainer who's a salesperson or the best salesperson that's selling for the personal trainers. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is you want to have your best, my personal opinion is you have your best salesperson who's your best, whether it made this best trainer or whatever, who's going to distribute those personal training sessions that they sell to whatever trainer is most appropriate for them. It's almost like the receiver of a good sound system. They meet the person, they have a fitness background also, they sit down with them, they go over their goals, go over what their limitations are medically, what they're trying to achieve, they do a proper intake or needs analysis, understand what that person needs, and then once they close the deal, which they do because that should be one of your best salespeople, then they distribute it to the appropriate trainer that matches several criteria. One, Does that person's goal match that trainer specialty? 2, how about personality? Does that personality mesh with that trainer? 3, scheduling. Is it going to be a consistent thing where it's convenient for them so they don't have an excuse and to not be accountable? Feed the beast. Who's your best salesperson? So the gym usually has one person, maybe 2, but who is that person? The gym typically has 1 or 2 salespeople who are their absolute best at selling personal training, and they get them with that person, which is smart, which is wise, and then that person distributes them once they're closed to the appropriate trainer. Now, how do we get them in the hands of that salesperson? Well, because that person is usually not a membership consultant, right? They're not a membership salesperson. So again, it's up to the membership salesperson whenever possible to get them with that person, introduce them to that person, say, this is who you're going to meet next. Remember I was telling you about what's coming down the line? Because if it's a good salesperson who's the membership salesperson, if they've done a good job, they'll have on tour or through the sales process, they'll have mentioned what comes next, which is a complimentary consultation with a personal trainer or the personal training specialist who's going to divvy out the personal training sessions once they buy. And that person is going to help them get on track, to help them build a plan. So they're not just wandering around the gym aimlessly, not knowing what to do. You'll never be here again, Mrs. Smith, not knowing what to do. We're going to help you with a personalized approach as opposed to a generic one. Does that make sense? So this is the person, Jason, that I was mentioning to you. They're going to help you from here. So I'm going to schedule with that person when we're finished. Okay? Sounds great. You want them to meet you when they're on tour, or at least meet you after the sale is over. Whenever possible. That is huge, because that person can they'll either schedule for them and more likely will show up, or if it's me they're meeting with next, I'll actually meet with them and sit down with them and say, hey, let's go ahead and schedule you now. Okay? And because that original salesperson has already mentioned it, it's not the first time they've heard it. There's been value built up so that they want to meet with me. It's easier for them to show up. It's easier to schedule. Very simple. The problem comes when the membership consultant has not done any of those things, and they're just rushing through it. All they're interested in is getting that sale because it's what's for them. And then secondarily, if they get around to it, they'll see if that person's interested. Oh, by the way, if you can, would you want to meet with someone? And they usually use something like an assessment. Oh, we're going to do this in-body assessment. And there's a lot of value in that. And it's going to show your body fat and your weight. That person's not showing up. They're not interested in it. You didn't mention it. You didn't build it up. You didn't build the value through the tour. By the way, if you're doing membership tours the way that I instruct, guess what? You're going to sell it through personal training anyway. How are you going to not include personal training in it anyway? Because how are they going to get in shape unless you address that? The whole context of the tour is built upon what are their goals and what are we going to do to meet those needs specific to them. There's value in customization, guys, and that also includes the tour. And so it should be the next natural assumptive close that, of course, they're going to meet with a fitness professional after this membership deal is closed, and then that's going to start the next part of the fitness continuum, which is, let's talk about your goals. Let's get you on a program, the appropriate program for you, specifically, customized, tailored to meet your needs and your specifications. Who's not going to show up for that, guys? So, a lot of times the challenges I see when I'm working with fitness businesses is that they have a very difficult time setting these appointments and then getting them to show. But it's not rocket science, guys. Well, they've been working out for years. So what? They know everything. I mean, personal trainers have personal trainers. Michael Jordan had a personal trainer. You don't need one? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that someone like LeBron James, who spends $1 million a year on his body, he has personal trainers. You, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who is the average weekend warrior, who's working out 4 or 5 times a week, doesn't have $1 million to spend on their budget for working out. You can do it on your own. You can program on your own, right? Whatever phase of training in, you can program on your own. You know how to eat perfectly. You know how to get your body to X, Y, and Z. You do? Well, then you're one of the 2% of the population that can do that. Congratulations. But I doubt it. So when I hear these excuses from membership consultants about, and every gym I run into these excuses, every gym I've ever worked for, I hear. And I was a membership consultant, so I know how this works, okay? And I had no problem doing this. I had no problem selling the training if I need to. I had no problem distributing to the appropriate trainer. It was not a problem. Why? Because my entire tour was based around personal training. My entire tour was based about building value and getting them into the fitness continuum. What's next? It doesn't stop here. And by the way, retention, guys, works the same way. Your best salespeople are the best retainers of your clients, because retention isn't sales just now; it's sales over time. An average salesperson thinks, "Oh my God, I'm gonna sign a dotted line. My job here is done." It just started. You have to build value over time. You have to continue to close them on the value that you and your business offers over time. And the excuses I hear are things like, "Well, I just couldn't get them to schedule." And I look at the sheet. Well, who did you put this person with? A trainer. Okay. And the trainer, are they good closers? No, they close at 10%. Why would you put that person with a trainer that closes 10%? Excuse me. But do we even think the person's going to show up? Number one, did you build enough value for them to even show? I don't know. Two, did you put them with the best salesperson? Why did you put them with this trainer who closes 10%? That means they can't build value. That's an opportunity that we've lost. Okay. Three, why didn't you put them with me? Oh, because you weren't available. First of all, why didn't I meet with them? That's the third one. Why didn't you bring them to me? And if I wasn't available, I tell you what, if you're not going to put the effort in, then just take their name and number and give it to me personally, and I will reach out to them and I will close them on the appointment myself. And I will get them to come in at the time that you said they couldn't meet with me. That's the other one. Fourth one, well, you didn't have that time available. Okay, so I had 5 o'clock available, but you scheduled them for 4. So an hour later, they didn't have available, is what you're telling me. You're telling me that you couldn't build enough value to get them to wait another hour or another day. You would rather put them with someone who closes 10% than put them with me who closes at 60 or 70%. You think that's smarter. That's better for the business. So my question to fitness consultants when they do this, the membership salespeople, is, okay, you were able to build enough value. You spent an hour with them, or at least you should have. You were able to build enough value to close them on the deal. But you weren't able to build them enough value to close them on the appointment to meet with me afterwards an hour apart. Instead, you put them with someone who doesn't close as well, which means they don't build as much value as the people who are closing at 50, 60, 70%. So you thought that was better because it was more convenient for the person. But what you just did was shoot us in the foot, and you're not offering the person enough value. And believe me, I know this because I've done this for many, many years. And the difference between someone who sells very well versus someone who sells okay is vastly different. And you hear the feedback when you meet with somebody who met with someone before who wasn't the best closer, and then they meet with you, they almost to a person say, "Wow, this experience was amazing. I did not realize, my husband didn't get that experience. I'm getting it with you. Can he meet you?" I get this all the time because they didn't get the value. And that, of course, then, shocker, they didn't feel like they wanted to invest in your product or services. Now, if you're running a business or managing a business or owning a business, I want you to think about that. Because oftentimes, I've experienced this with a lot of different clubs I've worked with. It's like, well, we got some good closers here, but we really need to get more people in front of you. So we should do this outreach. We should do these gimmicks. We should do this. And all that stuff is great. It's well and good. I'm not saying it's not, you shouldn't be doing that also. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is what I always say. If you heard any of my other videos or my course materials, you know what I always say. You start within your little circle first. What are your direct points of contact within your sphere of influence first? Before you go doing outreach and all these gimmicky things that are very time consuming, that are rarely produce a lot of results. You're putting in a lot of work for very little results. Why not first make sure you go through your checklist of fundamentals to see if you're doing those right first? I.e., are your membership people doing what they should be doing? And if they're not, that's a problem. That's the first thing, because that right there should should increase your numbers exponentially. You won't even have to do anything else. I'm just telling you this, to give you more options, but you won't, trust me, you won't have to do anything else. You don't have to worry about outreach. You can, if you want to do even further, obviously, but no one does it properly. Your membership people should be trying to get you to meet with them. Not taking no for an answer. They got to get you with these top 2 or 3 salespeople on the team. That's it. There are no other options. Okay. If there's overflow like that, that's a good problem to have. And then you select trainers maybe can take them. But it should really be about feeding the beast. Okay. Secondly, are they scheduling? If they're not scheduling them, then have them reach out to your best salespeople, or have this best salespeople reach out to them personally. Take their name, take their contact information, and allow them to contact them immediately. But you should do it right then and there, guys. And if you're having trouble closing it, then get that killer to come in and close the appointment for them. But again, how can that be an excuse when you just spent an hour with them and closed them and sold them on a membership? You don't have enough sales skills. It's the same skill to close an appointment. If you've been doing it throughout the tour, like I have great salespeople that I've worked with in the past that did a great job with me. And she would, I'll give you one of them. One of them, I won't mention her name, begins with a D, but she would build a tour around their individual customizable goals that always involve dropping the seed about personal training, dropping the seed about customized help. When it came time to set the appointment for the complimentary PT consult, it was seamless. She would then, remember, she would introduce me on the floor. If I was on the floor, she'd introduce me then. If not, she would come get me and introduce me at the end of it and say, hey, this is who you're going to be meeting with, blah, blah, blah. Now, she already closed because she was a great closer. So I didn't have to worry about her closing the appointment. I know she would get me in on the appointment. She doesn't have to put it with somebody else. Okay? She's going to put it with me, and it'll be soon. She'll find a way. And if not, she'll come to me and say, hey, I would like you to, this is Mrs. Smith. Hey, this is Jason. It's the guy I was telling you about. Blah, blah, blah. He's going to take care of you. He's awesome. We joke around. We build rapport between the 3 of us. And then if I needed to close it, I would. I'd close the appointment. Or, hey, look, I can't wait to meet you on Tuesday. Blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going to do. Look forward to it. It's going to be fun. See you soon. Now, why would that person not show up? Of course they're going to show up because they got a name to a face. They gave you their commitment. They gave you the handshake. At the very most, what they'll do is they'll at least grant you the courtesy of texting you to reschedule. Most of the time, that's not going to happen. As opposed to, oh, we don't have anyone else available. Let's put them with this person who closes at 10% and completely drop the ball. Why did you even set the appointment? You're getting nothing out of it. There's no value built whatsoever. Your clients aren't getting anything out of it. It's a wasted opportunity. And you want to go out there and do a bunch of stuff with outreach or, things like spinning a wheel for, again, I'm not saying those aren't good things, guys. If you're already doing the fundamentals. If you're not doing the fundamentals, why are we even talking about that? Why are we even addressing that issue? The issue is the fundamentals, as it always is. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. So again, at the end of the day, it's simple. Feed the beast, guys. Get your best people in front of your prospects, and you'll be fine. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you're having problems setting appointments, then you have to address that, building value during the tour, and then not being lazy, finding value. Because a lot of times, guys, the salespeople themselves, maybe they don't find value in PT consult. Maybe they don't know what they're getting. Well, then maybe they need to go through a PT consult so they know exactly what they're getting into so that they can be excited about it. If they're not excited about it, they don't know exactly what you're getting out of it. It can't just be an assessment why the people are showing up, guys. I've seen businesses do this. Oh, you're going to get this assessment. Most people don't know what that assessment even entails. They don't care. And by the way, some people, Jim, can be kind of intimidating. Do they want to be assessed? That sounds scary. What's this in-body thing? Or do your body feel? I don't want anybody else to know that. Don't sell it like that. Sell it as almost like a therapy session, right? It's a whole listen. Someone's going to meet you and listen to you. They're going to listen to what your needs are and provide a customized solution. There's all kinds of ways to sell it, but it's not through an assessment. That's just a bonus. Does it make sense? We're going to go through your goals, see what you've done in the past, what you like, what you don't like. What's your medical thing? I don't want you just to walk out here, Mrs. Smith, and feel like you're ever here going, what do I do ever again? That's the bottom line. I want you to have a plan every time you come in. Have you ever been lost in the gym before? Everyone has. Don't worry about it. Me too. We've all been there, right? At some point in time. This meeting will ensure that you never feel that way ever again. How does that sound? We'll take as long and short as you want. I promise not to waste your time. I look forward to meeting you. You bring the wine this time. All right, I brought it last time, Mrs. Smith. Okay, you follow me? It's so simple, guys. Don't overcomplicate, simplify. Get your best people in front of your prospects the majority of the time, and you're going to be golden.